I've tagged you in the actual post, so
right.
it could be on your page too, but it's not guaranteed.
Nice picture on your page.
Oh, thank you. I actually took that picture myself.
Really? Where is it taken?
It's in Zimbabwe. We were on safari because I actually like to take groups of people to Africa because, as you know, it's so beautiful and
it's wonderful,
magical. So I actually like to do that.
Yeah.
So this was it last year?
Is it for dancing you take them or just for
well, it's hard to kind of include dancing because when you're going on safari, as you know, and it's in the wild and nature and exciting, and there's not a lot of room for heels and sequins.
You can always slip one pair of heels of your dancing heels in.
That's true, yeah. So I do like to do that, and if there can be dancing, absolutely, we do that too. But
yeah,
these
that's
cases,
beautiful.
it's more for the whole African experience, you know.
Yeah, but I know with all the makeup and the dresses and everything.
So we need a competition there that we can go to and then go on safari, you know.
So let's organize one.
Exactly, and you can wear exactly what you're wearing. It's very African.
Oh yes.
So Hanna, we are live on Facebook now.
Oh, hi.
So we've got a couple of people watching: Aliona, Vanna, Josh, Lydia, Darinka, Thomas. So we'll just wait a couple of seconds for more people to log in, and then we will start.
Perfect. Let me also now try to. How do I see the live? Facebook.
So basically, go to my page. It might be on your page, and then you'll see there's a live video, and you click on the video. Sandro is watching.
Sandro who?
Cavallini.
Cavallini, Sandro. Ha. Hi, Sandro. Oh, I miss you. So nice. It's actually so long time ago since I saw, or when we met in person with Sandro. It's many years ago. But every time we see each other, it's like no time has passed.
Well, I will tell you a story that the first time I ever saw you was when you were dancing with Sandro in South Africa in 1998 at the Professional World Championships when you were in the final. And I remember when you were wearing that kind of pinky looking dress and like kind of very short and like, you know, a lot of leg and like, so that was our first impression in South Africa of you. And we're like, wow, that was amazing. Yeah. I still remember the cha-cha. You did a cha-cha intro dance and you had the ponytail.
The presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that World Championship was such incredibly organized World Championships. One of the best ever. And obviously the premises in Sun City,
yes.
the entrance of all the couples. It was such an amazing competition. And I remember we went there already many days before. If I'm not wrong, we went there like on Monday and the competition was on Saturday, just to also to get climatized because of the height, how high it is compared to where we were coming from. And we had such very amazing time. I remember we were in our room and we saw monkeys coming to the balcony.
Yeah, it's very normal where we are from. But
I know for you, but for us, we were like little kids, so excited. Yeah. And yeah, but actually about the dress you said, I remember I wore for the first rounds, and this is one of my favorite dresses, I wore a very basic slinky black slip, like about down to the knee. And I always loved that simplicity, to have the simplicity and then go full out, for example, for the finals or semifinals. But I love that, to have the difference in also how to what to wear. I'm still trying to figure out how, because I can't see on your page. If I go to your page, I can't see that you are live. Where should I see it?
So maybe exit the page again. Yeah, so scroll down. So if you go further down.
Aha, I see it.
Now click on the video. Yes.
Now I see.
Then just turn the volume down. Sandro says it was a practice dress.
Yeah, it was. Actually, it was a practice dress, but it was also used in one lecture that we helped Espen with. But yeah, we sometimes with Sandro, we used to get into all these things that he is very, very creative in his mind. And I was very inspired with that. And we would change things, like we would take some dress and change it to something else. And then maybe use a different thing in the hair or the nails or something. So it was very interesting times together.
Nice. Okay, well, we look forward to hearing all about it soon. So I think we'll get started. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Thursday, wherever you are in the world. Looks like we've got people from USA, London, Asia, Italy, all over. So thank you so much for joining. If you've got any questions for Ms. Hanna Karttunen, we would love to hear that. You can post the comment on the live video and we'll do our best to answer, or if you want to remain anonymous, you can message me, no problem. So yeah, welcome, Hanna Karttunen. I don't think she needs any sort of introduction. I think the name speaks for itself. One of the most beautiful female dancers ever, I think, known for her amazing animalistic movements and style on the floor. So yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing these interviews. It is I'm really appreciating your effort and the time you put into this, because obviously doing interviews like this is not just that we sit down and you just start to ask questions. You prepare them and you use your time and you think about them. So it's really wonderful.
No, thank you. That's nice. But like I always tell people, I just think it's so, you know, so many interesting people in the dance industry, in the dance business, with different stories and backgrounds and interests. And I think all of it makes such a colorful, wonderful kind of picture. So I think it's very interesting to hear from other people's, and especially the personal side, not just necessarily the competitions and, you know, the dancing as such.
Absolutely.
So, tell us a little bit about your current situation, Hanna. Like, where are you? What have you been doing? How has it been lockdown for you? Are you teaching any? Tell us.
I'm right now here in Helsinki at home, and I have been here since, actually I was in Moscow when it was said that this is pandemic. And then I had the flight the next day back home, and since then I have been at home. We have been laughing with my husband that it is actually the most long time in the whole time we have known each other that we stay under the same roof. And it's been wonderful. It's been great. It's lovely to stay home. I have had some time to do things that I don't usually have time for, such as I have been sewing some things. I always loved sewing and doing things with my hands. So I sew up curtains for our kitchen, which is a little bit like rock style curtains, because my husband, he's a radio host, so he has to give his radio broadcast every day from home. So basically we have a radio studio here from the morning, from 11 until 3, every 5 days in a week. And after that, our home changes into dance studio. And I have been giving my online classes. And what is funny about this also is that we have 2 cats. And now they are very, very worried about their humans, that we go crazy, because at one point one is talking to one screen in the other room, and the next someone else, I start on the other room talking to another box. Sometimes, so excuse me if you see some furry things walking past, sometimes they do attend a little bit of these moments, but it's a very short moment. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. We've been doing some going outdoors, because in Finland we have been in complete lockdown. The schools, the restaurants, museums, everything basically closed. But at that time, we were advised to stay at home as much as possible, but to go out to the nature was allowed. And this is quite nice, because in the forest, there is no one else. So it's just two of us exploring the nature. So we've done these very long walks in the nature, and it's quite close to our home. It takes about 30 minutes to drive from our home to this national park. So we have done that. Online classes, yes, I have given some of them. I really enjoyed them. And yeah, I feel very good. I feel happy. Right now, we are getting the restrictions a little bit down in Finland. So the schools opened already last week. Restaurants will be open in June. Libraries are open already. So they kind of are going down a little bit for a moment to see what happens. And then obviously if the situation gets bad again, then we have to go back into more restricted living. But right now it's looking like very good.
Nice. So tell us, who is Hanna Karttunen?
I smile a lot, and I like to look at life positive way. I like to see good in people rather than judgmentally or criticize. I'm very curious. I love to understand, to learn new things, and I'm very loyal. I think it's very important to be true and honest with yourself and to other people. That's kind of a, let's say, the surface of it. And then there is more to come, probably later on the interview.
And Hanna, how do you think the outside world sees you?
Outside world, how it
other people, how other people see you?
I would think the people see me like that, what I said. I often, yes, been told also that I smile a lot, for example, and it's just a way of being for me. I feel I'm quite a happy person, and I think people can see that, they can feel that. Of course, I can't say, they must tell me if this is not the way they see me, but that's what I would think, that people see me. And I think they do know, people around me know that they can trust me 100%. They know that they have me if they are in a need in some point if they're in their lives.
Hanna, what was your childhood like? What did your parents do? Where were you brought up? What was your childhood like?
I was born in Oulu, north of Finland, near the Arctic Circle. So it's a very remote city, very small city, even though it is, and I think it still is, the 5th biggest city in Finland. But we are quite small country. We have 5.5 million people living here. So there is not many of us. My childhood was very happy. I have very, very warm relationship with my family. Family is important to me. My mom and dad are very caring people. They are giving people, and they also educated me a lot about how to be polite, how to. They didn't just say, yeah, good, what you do. I got criticism as well, but it was always done in a way that it made me think and to understand how to better myself or certain actions of myself. And yeah, I had a very happy childhood. I have a sister, a little sister. She's really little. She's my little sister, but she's tiny, and she's a very beautiful soul. And I have good memories of we having these trips in the summertime. We used to take, we had a caravan, and we used to drive from Finland to south of Europe and then stay in the caravan. And I have great fond memories of those times, us all staying together, driving. You know, it was lovely times. And then
no, go on.
Yeah, then quite early I went into dancing. So I was 3 years old when I started to dance, which was ballet. And I'm sure it was mainly for to have the pink tutu and run around with the other girls there and feel like a ballerina. I don't think I understood much of it, but I understood I loved it.
And Hanna, what did your parents do for a living?
Right now they are, how do you say, retired.
But when you were growing up, what were they?
My dad has his own company, and it's how would I explain this? He educates people who want to open their own business. Mm-hmm. So how to use these talent or skills what they have to make it a business.
Okay.
My dad also, I think I get this a lot from him. He's always creating new things. And he used to get me into doing a lot of stuff. Like he had at one point a little factory, salad dressings he was doing. So I think I was about 14 years old around that time. And I used to go with him to the factory, and I was peeling the garlic. Then there was a machine that he was taking care of how to mix all the ingredients. And then there was a machine where you put the cork onto the bottle, and the machine where you put the etiquette on it. And I used to handle all those machines. And then when we were two of us working in this little factory. And then the funny story is that he sold this recipe. Obviously, it's not very good business-wise to have this small factory and have only him and me working there. So he sold the recipe, and this salad dressing is still being sold in a shop in Finland. Oh, wow. It has a different name, but the recipe is that one that my dad sold that time, that he actually invented. Then there was times that he designed interior for a bedroom. So he got me sewing like a bedspread and like design with him that he would take pictures of these things. A lot of crazy. One time I remember, this was already later times, I remember we dancing, of course, cost a lot of money. My mom and dad, they did a lot, but my sister was dancing also, so it was two of us. They did a lot of work, and my mom worked 2 jobs at one time, and they gave a lot. But I wanted to also try to do as much as I can myself. So I worked in a marketplace. I sold reindeer meat for probably 5 years or more. I was there all summer, and then often after school as well before practice. But then with my dad, he and my mom, they went to this fair, like a Christmas fair, to sell glue wine. So this glue wine needed to look like a Santa Claus. So there I was sewing this like a little thing where you can put the etiquette in around the bottle. It was this brownish material, which is very Christmas-like. And then I made a little Christmas hat for each bottle. And then they went on and sold these bottles, and I got some more lessons.
So Hanna, tell us a little bit about your dance journey. You said you started ballet when you were 3. How did that progress to ballroom and Latin and get more serious?
Yeah, I 3 years old, I started the ballet. I did also gymnastics. And then I was about 10 years old. And my best friend, she said to me, summer holiday had just started. So she came to me and she said, Hanna, let's go for ballroom dance camp. They said like this little summer camp for, let's say, 5 days, a short period of time. And I remember saying to her, I said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm a ballerina. I want to do ballet, and I'm not really interested. She was very persistent, and her parents used to dance when in the earlier on in their life. And I remember seeing this picture of the parents at my friend's home in a ballroom dress, these big ballroom dresses. And I thought, well, okay, let's go and try. She really wanted, I'll come with you. And yeah, that was it. I really immediately from the first day on, I got very into ballroom dancing. And I can't really say why, because at the beginning I was not very good. I was quite I was like an ugly duckling in the class, but I loved practicing. So I was always practicing more and more, and I don't know, maybe I felt challenged on that. Maybe one part was it that you're dancing with another person, and that way the connection, the difficulty, obviously that age, we were still very young, so it's kind of like you're dancing with a boy, you know, it's kind of like, is it good, is it bad? But I liked it. I really thought it was very different thing that I had never done. So yeah, we did the summer camp, and yeah, immediately I signed up for the classes for the autumn when they started, and that was it. I was gone there. I left ballet probably, I can't remember exactly, but almost immediately. I didn't go because I'm very full on. If I go to something, I do it fully, and I give my undivided attention to that. So I went to ballroom dancing that way.
So when did you realize that you were good, or this could be something like a career choice? And were you successful in as a kid dancing?
No, I was not successful. If you think results, I was out from the first round with my partner. But I loved it, and I was very young. My mom remembers this, and I have told her, Mom, I really want to be a world champion. And she was like, okay, like this was, maybe I was 12 years old, very young age still. And she's like, okay, yeah, that's good, because they always supported in having dreams and having ideas and planning things, what you want to do and what you want to become. And they also said, but remember, you have to educate yourself too. And I'm like, yes, I will go to my school. I do that, but I do want to dance. I want to spend my life in dance. This is what I have told them in a very, very young age. And that time I was not successful in competitions in such as results. Then I got to dance. I had few partners in the very beginning, and then I started to dance with Jaakko Toivonen, and with him we were very connected together, and we started to really plan for trips to go out to England, which was like, wow, we get to go to England and to competition abroad, to have lessons. And so from that age with Jaakko, it started to be more seriously, like really going towards this dream.
Nice. And so it started getting serious with him. What happened afterwards? What can you tell us a little bit about your dance journey, who you danced with after, and you know, when you got your most success?
Oh wow. I've been very fortunate to have had amazing partners in my life, dance partners. And with Jaakko, we kind of went a little bit separate ways, and we were kind of not sure if we danced together anymore. We also did ballroom, by the way, with him, and he was very good in ballroom, and I was not probably that good. But then, although he was good in ballroom, we still wanted to go more with Latin. So we were much more concentrated on Latin and with lessons in Latin and competition and everything. And so after, what happened was that this was right after the under 21 in Blackpool I'm bad in remembering years. This is many, many years ago. We danced with Jaakko this competition, and after that we were still dancing a little bit together. But then Espen came. He approached our teacher, our Finnish teacher, our mentor, our coach, Markku Siltala. He approached Markku and said, there is Rick Valenzuela from USA who is looking for a partner. And Espen thought it was a good idea that I would have a tryout with Rick. I was very young. I was under 21. I was 20 years old then. And I was like, wow, oh, yes, absolutely, yes. So I had the tryout with Rick, and this lasted for many days. And I remember he arrived there he had this black BMW. He had these black jeans, or sometimes they were dark blue jeans, a black shirt, and his sleeves were always rolled like this up here. And he was so black hair and this Latino look. And he arrives there to the studio with this, comes out from the car, and I was like, wow. I was very nervous, and I was very afraid to say anything. I don't know if I got any words out of my mind, my mouth, and well, no words needed. We started to dance, and we danced and danced for hours, for many days. And then last day, and I remember there was like this after party, because there was also the World Championships for aerobics, which I was involved. So I was in this team of 3 girls representing Finland for aerobics in Las Vegas. And this is where the tryout happened. So now this was an after party, and it happened to be in the same hotel, probably, or then Rick was just walking around there. I don't know how, but somehow I came out from the room. He walked, and I'm like, hi. And he said, so would you like to dance with me? And I was like, yes, I would like to. I just have to make some arrangements. Let's see if it happens. So this was how we then decided, yeah, we're going to dance together. But it was also still, I was living at home in Finland. It was not a very safe environment at home with parents and everything. San Diego is far away from Oulu. Also about financial situation, everything. So of course there was a lot to think about. But I remember I was, as I returned back, and I told my parents, this is now the situation. And then I remember sitting on the bench with my dad, and we were eating ice cream. And I said to my dad, I said, what do you think, Dad? Should I go? Like, am I good enough? Should I really go? And my dad asked me one question. He asked me, do you want to go? And I said, yes. He answered, then you must go. And that was it. And then that is the way I then moved in. There was only a few weeks, and I moved to San Diego to live there. And I actually moved to live with Wendy Johnson. Mm-hmm. And I remember the trip to go there was so that, now imagine this, I'm leaving home, I have my dancing shoes, I have little clothes what I had sewing machine in my backpack, if I had to do my own dresses or something, just to be prepared, and books. And now the flight was supposed to land to Los Angeles, and Rick was supposed to come and pick me up from Los Angeles. Somehow there was not flight convenient enough to San Diego, or somehow, I don't know, but it was to Los Angeles. Now, something was gone with the air. Something happened. There was a storm or something. So the plane had to land. I don't remember if it was Boston or somewhere on the East Coast, not in Los Angeles. In there. So now I'm like, and now what? And I'm quite naive. I don't know what to do, but there I go with other passengers, and I'm thinking like, okay, what now? So then I'm like, okay, collect call. And I remember I called to Wendy because I didn't have any coins. I didn't know, I just thought collect call. So I called to Wendy, and I'm saying, I'm here. and I will try. And she said, okay, no worries, just try to get the flight and let us know. So then I arranged a flight, and the good thing was the flight went directly to San Diego.
Oh, wow.
So then, there was a less of drive.
Yeah.
And that, then I ended up to be in San Diego.
Nice.
And dancing with Rick.
And how was it dancing with Rick?
Rick is one of the most creative. He has such wild imagination. Unbelievable. Very unpredictable also. There was times that he didn't show up for practice. Not the next day, not the next day. I call him, no answer. Sometimes he would stay next to the phone. I know this because I was there in his apartment sometimes when someone calls and he say, oh no, not the right time right now to answer. So then maybe after a week, he may give me a call. Okay, should we go to practice? And they are, yeah, let's go. And I didn't know any better. I thought he was professional. He's, in my eyes, done it all. Unbelievable. So I thought this is the way it happens. So yeah, let's go to practice. And then we went to practice until it happened again. But he was also very, very caring. It was we used to go, there was few restaurants, one Japanese restaurant with teriyaki chicken, what we had, and Jack in the Box, where we ate spicy, crispy chicken sandwich. Mm-hmm. So now, sometimes he was also very kind. He would drive me back from the practice if it was very late, because I used to take bus. I didn't have money for to buy a car. I actually didn't have a driving license even then. So I took a bus. And he drove me back if it was very dark already. So then often we went, for example, drive in the Jack in the Box. And I remember this, he saw, like, when you drive in, before you order your food, you can see what to order. On that sign, there was a homeless man standing and asking for money from Rick. Mm-hmm. And I remember he said, like, no, but tell me, what do you want to eat? So the man told, and he said, okay, I'll get it for you. Go on to the other side and you'll get your food. And for me, I remember thinking, this is such a wonderful man, thinking that way. He doesn't want to give money because that can go to any other things, booze or, I don't know, drugs or something. But he was caring for that he gets the food.
So you basically went from under 21 to professional with Rick, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And were you guys successful together?
We did only few competitions. Two. We did United Kingdom, we did Blackpool. And we were in semi-final on both of them. We were in the United Kingdom, there was critics on the dance news. And it said, I don't remember who wrote this, but it said about us that it looks like the gypsy caravan has arrived Bournemouth. And I remember Rick was very proud of that comment. He thought it's very good comment. He loved it. But in Blackpool, I don't remember so well, but I think we were quite close to getting into the final, but we never made final, no.
And Hanna, what about after Rick? So you went your separate ways, and then?
Yeah, it was so that we were supposed to dance the US Championships, and we went on different flights, like we did to most of the places where we went on different flights. So I already had arrived to Miami, and Rick was supposed to come later, and this was the day of the competition. And he was still not in Miami. So I was there and I thought, I'm going to get ready. I will get my makeup on, warm up, get my dress on, stay there in case he will arrive. Because I really wanted to dance. And well, it was Wendy who told me then, she said to me, Hanna, don't do that. I know that he's not coming. And so then I listened to Wendy, and this was the right thing to do, because he never arrived there. And I guess he was somehow insecure in many ways. And sometimes if he felt like he's not able to meet all those people, he didn't want to come at all. So I didn't feel it personally done to me, but it was just his being, his way of being, very, very artistic man. So then after that, we met up, and Rick said to me, it's better that we don't dance together anymore. So after that, actually before that already, I had spoken to Espen, and Espen said to me on the phone, Kair Pakke is looking for a partner. So then I moved from US to Rome, and I didn't know if I'm going to live there, but I went there. We had tryout with Kair Pakke, and we started to dance together. And I remember it was like 3 weeks, and we already entered European Championships representing Norway. And this was possible because both of us, it was enough time that both of us didn't dance or represent a country in the championships. So we went to dance immediately. And with Kair, I danced for 1 year. And then after that, I started to dance with Sandro.
Okay.
He came to pick me. Yeah, he came to pick me up from Rome, and he had this huge, big white teddy bear in the car, which he gave to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and then I moved to live in Terni for a little bit with him in his apartment. And we danced. We represented Italy together with Sandro, and we danced for, 5 years together.
So is Sandro, you made your first professional final with Sandro?
No, we did with Kair already.
Okay.
We did some, I actually don't know which competition. I'm not sure if it was a championships or some, but it was a competition with World Masters, at least. That was one of them. But yes, with Sandro was then that we made finals, and this was our, we started to build up our thing together.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if people are watching, but I'm just saying from South Africa in 1998, when we first saw Hanna dance with Sandro, we were just amazed. And that introduction dance, that cha-cha with, the walks and the locks and the whole, like, it looked like you had oil all over you. It was so like slick, I don't know if that was just sweat, but it looked like.
It might have been. I don't think I oiled my body. I think it was sweat probably.
But it looked good.
Yeah. It was, it was wonderful championships, really, really amazing championships. And we had such a great times together with Sandro. I feel like he was like my brother. Like we did so much good things. We talked about everything. He came, then later on I moved to live in Rome. He came to stay with me sometimes or spend a night, or then we would stay in Terni. We were basically practicing in Terni and Rome.
Yeah, the people agree with me. Nicholas Garcia says it's his favorite video ever. You were stunning.
Oh, that one in the South Africa, is it?
Yeah, and Fabio is saying hi. Big kiss to Anna. Veronica is saying hi. So yeah, a lot of people.
Ciao, Fabio.
Are watching.
Hi,
and
everyone.
then tell us a little bit, Hanna, about what happened afterwards. So what happened after Sandro?
After, together with Sandro, we had very, very good years together. And then there was a time towards the end that we started to kind of drift a little bit in our views of dance. We never really fought or felt like there was a problem between us, but it just started to feel like it was not working, or it was not what we wanted. And it was just before Blackpool. We were on the way to Hong Kong to do a show. It must have been somewhere beginning of May. And I remember being Fiumicino Airport. We were sitting down and we were talking, and we said, okay, it's better we don't dance together anymore. But there was no drama, no nothing. It was just decided we don't dance together anymore. So from that point, from the airport, we called our teachers. We had already booked lessons in London and said, we have decided we will stop our partnership. We only did the shows, what was still left, but we never danced at Black Ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was.
And what happened afterwards? Next partner, next.
Paul Killick.
And how was that, dancing with Paul?
Unbelievable. Like I say, I have truly been very fortunate with every partner who I have danced with. They each have very different qualities, they're very deep. One thing is very similar, they're very deep. They love the dancing for dancing. And with Paul, we did our tryout, and I remember the very first time he gave his hand, I put my hand to his hand, and I felt, this is it. I was just like, I love it. There was certain way that he touches. I still call him magic hands, because the way he touch or he forms the body, it's just beautiful for me. I felt that immediate connection, and I think Paul as well, and we decided to dance together.
And then how was it? For you, successful? You enjoyed it? Were there any memorable moments?
Oh, so many. I loved it. Memorable moments. There are so many. Paul is very, very passionate, very strong in his views. For him, he was a leader fully. When we danced together, he said for me something, and I would just ask how many times. I would. There was no question. Whatever it was, I would go for it full on. And I think that was maybe one of our the strength in our partnership was that he felt very free to be able to go wildly into any direction, and I was there with him 100%. And that was something very unique. In this way, I have never felt that ever. Not before, not after that, his way. And I was very much able to trust him, that what he decides, he knows why he's doing it. And I wanted to follow that fully. Yeah.
No, you carry on.
Yeah. You ask about successful. Yes, I think so. I felt I grew as a dancer a lot. We had great connection together, and I have always loved in dance the touch, the connection, the finding the connecting parts in the body, in the mind as well. And with him, it was one of the big things that we were working on constantly. And we went on trying sometimes to be lighter, sometimes heavier. And yeah, often we went far too far. But then we returned back again and, finding that way. But one thing what I really enjoyed in this was that we always stayed true to what we did. So if it didn't work in the first place, we didn't give up. We would go for it and go. And until it sometimes felt like, okay, now we actually tried from all different angles to arrive this, it doesn't work, let's leave it and move on to the next one. So it was very inspiring time as well.
I remember watching you dance with Paul. I think it was at the German Open. It was that year with Brian and Carmen and stuff, and it was very close. And you were doing the walks around and the cha-cha, and it was very exciting to watch, actually.
It was. Oh my God, I remember that moment. Now I'm going there, cha-cha and locks and 2, 3 cha-cha. I am like, what are you doing? But there we go. And that's a good example. I fully went with it because I knew I can trust this man. He knows what he's doing, and he had a great timing on doing things like that. He had a very good sense and good eye on what to do on the floor. Never the norm, never.
And then, so am I correct in saying that you sort of retired with Paul?
No, what happened was that Paul wanted to retire. I actually knew this much earlier. He wanted to retire, and it happened in Blackpool. We just danced a team match. But then...
you were wearing white, yeah? On that one?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
Wow, good memory. Mm. Yeah. And he wanted to retire. I felt that I had really fulfilled myself in dance, Latin, with Rick, Guy, Sandra, Paul. And I wasn't sure what to do. But I knew I wanted to dance. I knew I'm a few years younger than Paul is, and for that I had still kind of miles in my body to put onto the floor. But also in my mind, I felt I'm not done. So then there was talks, there was ideas of who to dance with or what to do. But then what happened was that at that spring, it was happening, the Strictly Come Dancing, the first ever Strictly Come Dancing. And we were part of it, both Paul and myself as teachers. And that was also one of the things, because we knew Paul is going to retire. So it was kind of a good time that we can also give in for this kind of a side of dance. So then when it happened, the retirement of Paul, and then somewhere along the line was the semi-final of the Strictly Come Dancing. And I was dating Victor at that time. We were already a few years together. And the production team called me and said, listen, now we need a show dance for the semi-final. So would you dance with Victor? And at that time, Victor was in London visiting me. Then they said, or you can dance with Sir Bruce Forsyth, one or the other. Do a show for the program. I'm like, okay. Well, and then we were on the way to the airport in London. We were in Covent Garden. We probably stopped for lunch or something, and Victor was returning back to South Africa on that day. And this was Tuesday. The show was on Saturday. I had never done lifts in my life before. And I was like, that could be interesting. So then I said to Victor, what do you think? And Victor was like, do you trust me? I said, 100%. He said, okay, let's do it. Let's see if I can change the flight back to South Africa and for later date, then we'll do it. All right. So we called airline, all good. And in these days from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we had 3 full days to practice. And we did the show together with Victor. So this is the way I actually went into the lifts and the exhibition. So it was never planned at all. I remember when we were dating together in the beginning, Victor, he's like, okay, let me lift me, let me show. I was like, oh no. I'm a Latin girl. I stay on the floor. I don't want to be lifted. I don't like it. Let's do this like this. I have to say there was times that I was looking like, interesting, and wondering how does that lift work? And I would say, okay, lift me a little bit, like show me this or that. But we never ever practiced. But I had maybe feeling of how it feels like he's lifting to the tabletop. But in those 3 days, we did, Victor had the Gladiator, his number, and we had the music, What a Feeling from Flashdance, and we had to dance to that music because that's the production set. So we fitted the Gladiator to that music and danced live. 3 minutes before the show, Victor's pants ripped from the back. So I remember, I'm like, calm, let's go. There is the seamstress, pants down, sew up, go. So there was no time to be nervous. And one more thing, people always ask this about his like doing without the shirt, the show. It is not, maybe a little bit, but not really about him wanting to show his beautiful body. In this time, there was no shirt. There was only pants. So that's the way we did it. And that's how then later on in our dancing, we realized that if he has a shirt, it can interrupt certain lifts, what we did, or my heel can get stuck, because I used to dance, or when we danced the black ball, I used to dance with heels always. So it was just on the way. So basically, one reason used to be that it's not, it can be a hazard in the dance.
How did the show go? Was it success?
Oh, yes.
TV?
Yes, it went so good. It was, I don't know where I didn't feel worried. Maybe it is so that I really trusted Victor. I knew he's very good at it, what he does. So I trusted and I gave my body to him, and we just did what we had practiced on those few days. It went well. I remember Nicole, we are very good friends with Nicole Hansen, and she wrote me a message, Hanna, I didn't know that you've been doing this exhibition. And I wrote back, I haven't. It's the first time we danced.
Sandro is saying, yes, Hanna was very afraid to dance in the air.
Yes, he knows. He knows I would not want to go to the air. I'm sure he's been thinking later, what is she doing now?
So, and then you had basically like a theatre arts career somewhat, right? You did that for a few years?
Yeah, what happened was that we were dating. Now we did this show, we still were not planning to dance together. I also did this production in Bregenz opera festival where I was a dancer on an operetta. There was girls from Lido and from West End, and then it was me. And we we had great times there. So that was what I did in between. Like that was about 1.5 months project. At the same time, I was able to a little bit reflect what I wanted to, and if I I'm sure I felt so good with Paul in Latin that, and not that someone else couldn't be the same or give a similar sensation of feeling so satisfied. But I just didn't know really how to go to Latin. And then we were talking with Victor, well, we did this one show, we loved it, we are together, why not to dance together? But we never planned to do competitions. We only started to do shows. And our first show after the Strictly Come Dancing was in Kremlin Cup. Mr. Stanislav Popov, I wrote to him because obviously no one really knew what we are doing. So I wrote to him and said, we have this thing and we're dancing. So would you like to see our show in Kremlin? And I said, I can send you a video. He said, no video needed. I trust you. Please come. You are invited. And that is, since then, every year we danced in Kremlin, and it's become like a home for us, really, in Moscow.
Nice.
Yeah. Then we had actually playing more and more shows. We did a lot of shows also in South Africa. We lived in Johannesburg. So we used to dance these shows. What is the name of the restaurant? There is this Latin restaurant.
Starts with an R, isn't it? Ravonia or
Rodizio.
Rodizio, yeah.
Yes, we did Rodizio shows together. We did one Christmas time. There was parties in the day and in the evening, and there was two Rodizios. We used to dance like maybe 4 shows a day.
Wow. So
that the dress wasn't, I had few different dresses to use, but they were often still wet from the show before. But we used it as, of course, how to entertain audience in a very different level, because people are there to be entertained and to have fun, but also for us as a stamina training. It's 20 minutes full on from beginning to end, one costume change in the middle, And it was a very good thing for us to do. So we became very mechanically clear with the lifts. And I think that's been our strength since then, that we know exactly whatever can happen. The roof is too close, or somebody gets stuck in the costume, or anything can happen in the live performance. So it taught us a lot. But then how we ended up to go competitions happened so that we were asked to give a lecture in Blackpool. And this I remember, 2005. So we had prepared ourselves completely a new number, what we're going to perform for the lecture. We started very early preparing these numbers. Normally, if Blackpool is in May, in January, we already have an idea and it's starting to build in, because it grows like a baby. It grows before it's ready to be out there. And so for that lecture, and we were very prepared. It was exciting, everything. We arrived to Blackpool. And then Jill Mackenzie, that time was still Jill, she came to us on Friday. So our lecture it must be on Sunday. Yeah, Friday, when it's the Rising Stars. And she said, there is a couple who was invited to compete from US, but their visa didn't go through. So would you take part to the competition? So we were like, look at each other. And then I said, if it is possible, could we have a thought over it and reply first thing in the morning tomorrow? And she said, yes, please. So we wake up in the morning, we look at each other like, let's do it. And that's the way we entered our first competition and how we started to compete. It never even, we didn't think we're gonna compete ever.
Did you win that one? Did you win it the first time?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we had no costumes. We had, of course, one good thing is there was no time to be nervous about it or think it over too much. Like you just have to deal with it. You have to get on with it and deal with it and find out, I went to Chris Ann, who used to sponsor me with Paul, and they were, yes, we are on. They were excited to do the costume. So costume started, then costume went back and forward from Chris Ann to our hotel room where we were stoning it, and then we bring it back and they were sewing it, and back and forward. We had to change the new number, what we were planning for the lecture. It became our competition number. Passion is the name. But one thing is that it was too long. So but too long with the power music, the thank you music. So then we decided, okay, we just do the music and we get off the floor, because there is a limit. Yeah. If you stay too long on the floor, you will be disqualified. So we had that, and then we had to fight to get to practice, because in Blackpool, when you do exhibition, you have your rehearsal time very early in the morning. It starts about 7 a.m. before you have the competitors' practice time. So we knew Victor obviously had competed already before there, so he knew about it. And we went. You had to go back through this back alley and get into the building from different door, and then you have to say your names. So when we say our names, they're like, you're not on the list. And we're like, but we are competing and we really need to practice on the floor. No, you can't go. Somehow we managed to get through all these cards to get through into the ballroom and be able to practice there. But it took a little while.
Wow. So then, Hanna, was that like so with Victor, that was it once you finished competing? Was there anything else after that, or you retired from performing, let's say?
You mean after Victor?
Yeah.
After Victor, what happened was that we were engaged to get married. We lived together. We had our home in Johannesburg, Oakdean area. And then privately something happened and we separated. We decided it's better. So it was very, very difficult time. That was very very demanding, hard time, I'm sure, for both of us. And it was such an issue that for me, it was very difficult to keep in touch. And I didn't want to talk to him. And basically, we only handled everything. We had a lot of shows planned. And so we handled so that what happens with them. And then I went home from South Africa, and I stayed at home in my mom and dad's couch for about 3 months. I didn't sleep, didn't eat. It was very, very hard time. But I had the tryout with Slavic. This was right after I left from South Africa. We had a tryout together, and he wanted to dance with me. I was in a state that I didn't know. I knew I wanted to dance, but I was very, very bad state in myself. And I needed a time to be away. And I said to Slavic, listen, if you have someone in your mind you would like to dance, do not wait for me. That use this time, do what you want to. But he said, no, I want to wait. And so it went few months, maybe 3 months, I can't remember exactly. And then we started to dance together with Slavic. So I went back dancing Latin. And it was a very short partnership together with Slavic. It was very very different for me than anything else, because there was no structure. We didn't even have a place where we both lived. We were like, I had then a place in London, but then Slavic can be in Ukraine or in Hong Kong or Russia. And we were in different places in the world. When we practiced a lot, but not for me, not often enough. I love to feel the repetition, to get onto the floor and feel the person every day. So we lacked on that. So this partnership was not, for me, I don't think both of us, we both were not happy. He's a great dancer, unbelievable, beautiful dancer, great person as well. But it just, maybe it was a time. Those times were not correct for both of us. And we wanted to do it, both wanted, but it just was not right. It didn't work.
So, and then like once that happened, did you stop performing completely, or was there something else?
No, after Slavic, this can go on and on, Jake.
It's okay.
After Slavic, that was a time that I got to buy my first apartment on my own from Helsinki. I came to Finland. It had been my dream already when we lived with Victor together. We were talking maybe to have a place also in Finland. But just one moment. Kulta, what can I like that for? I just asked my husband to put the curtains closed.
No problem. Yeah.
There is a sun coming and I'm starting to sweat. I'm not sure if it's your questions or it's the sun, but I'll try. So, that's better. So then, yes, I bought my apartment. I came to Helsinki. Like I told earlier, I come from Oulu, from north of Finland. So I didn't really know Helsinki that much. Only I knew how we've been coming in a bus from Oulu with the club to compete. So we drove during the night to come and compete in Helsinki and drove back during the night. So it's a whole night ordeal. So I didn't know Helsinki. So I had a map, but not a Google map, paper map. And there I walk around Helsinki, just feeling which area is nice to stay. And I found, and I loved my first apartment here, really loved it. So I got that done. And then it was coming towards Blackpool time. And I was coming, obviously, to watch Blackpool. And we had not spoken with Victor over a year. Only the deal, like very briefly deal with the business. And we were on the Terminal 4, I guess it's 4, is the new terminal, well, was the new terminal in Heathrow. So I landed from Helsinki to London. Victor has landed, this was the early flight. He had landed from Johannesburg to London. And at the airport, we see each other from very far. There's this long corridor, and I'm like, oh my God. And my heart started to beat, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I'm like, well, just go. And I just walked, and I remember clearly walking over to him. I was thinking, am I going to slap him or hug him? And I thought, like, whatever will come, it will happen. Let it just go, flow, go with that energy. So we hugged, and the first thing we did was to go to practice. Of course, we spoke and we missed each other. There was a lot to talk about, everything. But somehow all that time in between was good for us. It kind of has like the most feelings what are on surface, and when you feel hurt or misunderstood, that had kind of calmed down and to understand a little bit about what happened and to forgive and to forget and all that. And so we went to Blackpool and we started to practice. From the first day we went to practice. So then we started to dance shows together. We didn't want to compete anymore because Blackpool, first of all, had this rule. I don't know if they still have that. If you win it 3 times in a row, the exhibition, you're not allowed to dance the 4th year.
Okay.
So we had done that. Obviously, now we had already a year in between. But already when we had done it, we thought we don't want to go back because I felt it's unfair. Like, why you have to keep someone out from the competition? We never thought that we go and just win it. Never. You don't know. Anything can happen, especially when it's about lifts and exhibition. Anything, you don't know. You don't even know who is coming there, who are competing against you. So I don't think that's fair. But that's what it is. So we respected that. But we never wanted to compete anymore. It didn't feel, we felt like to go further with our dance, the numbers, to be more, just let it be free to find different ways.
So looking back, I mean, that obviously many partners, many successes in Latin, show dance, everything. What has been for you your biggest accomplishment in your career? It doesn't have to necessarily be a result, but like in your opinion, like if you look back, what has been your greatest accomplishment?
Is to go out there and always be honestly who I am on the floor. It's not easy. It's I have always strived for that, but it's tempting sometimes to get maybe swiped away to some other direction or something, but to stay true and honest to what you do and to stay connected with your own partner.
And Hanna, looking back, do you have any regrets in your career? If you could do it again, is there something different that you would do or that you could change?
No, I don't have any regrets on what I have done. I have I have one thing that I wish I would have done, and this is to have lessons with Lorraine. It was, I think it has become a little bit later, and actually now I have contacted Lorraine and I want to go and have lessons with her. I want to understand her insight on dance and what she appreciates, because I think there is a huge wisdom on people who come before us, who's been there, experienced very different dance world than what we experience today. So that is one that I wish, I don't know if I wish, but would have been nice to have had lessons when I was dancing with the partner, with Lorraine.
And so who for you were your major influences in your dancing? Like, first of all, were there any dancers that you really looked up to when you were young and you were like, oh, I just want to be like that? and teachers that influenced your style and your career?
Yeah, I used to adore Donnie and Keino since I was very little. I had a VHS tape that I used to come home from school, put it on and watch it over and over so that it was broken. And it was some championships in Oslo. And she had this black velvet long dress with the sleeves, like silver sleeves or some stones or something on them. And I remember watching them and I thought that they are not from this world. They're like aliens. Like it's not possible. It's not human. For me, I was completely enticed on that. And I love that. Another couple was Alan and Vibeke. And I'm not so much younger than they are, but it was at the time I was dancing with Jaakko, and there was a lot these Scandinavian championships were organized back those times. And Alan and Vibeke were representing Denmark, and we were representing Finland. And I got to see them on those occasions, and I thought they are just beautiful couple, so much harmony and together, and man and woman and everything. I really adored their dancing. Influences, I find every one of my partners who I dance with have a great influence on me. I feel I learned a lot from each one of them. As teachers, I had the very first teacher was Salmen Asko Raukovaara from Finland. And then that was the school where I started and the camp where I went to. Then I had a man called Markku Siltala, he was not only a teacher, he was a coach. He used to drive us to Europe to have lessons. He took his car and drove together, Jaakko and myself and him, or we used to drive even to Liverpool to have lessons with Margaret Redmond over there. So he is one who is very big influence on me on dance in those beginning times, but also on work ethics, on respect, on how to train fully, not only dancing, but train your body. And at those times, it was not so normal to go to the gym or train certain muscle groups to be able to, do something better in dance. Then one very, very big mentor is, and probably most influential, is Espen Sahlberg. He's my mentor. He's a man I can call now a friend, but he's my teacher. He's mentor. He's a coach. He's a big deal in my dance. Still, I write to him sometimes messages and ask, what do you think about this? Or just recently, something about technique was in a technique book, which I was like, why is it written like this? And then we have a conversation about that. So, and then one more is John Delroy. He was incredibly, the mind was something else. The way his mind worked was, he came to the first lesson and he was like, Paul had already said to me, PK, he's a little strange sometimes. Like, okay, no problem. So there I'm stretching in the Beckenham Dance Company, stretching away. And John comes in. He had a little bit like a hunch in the back, very piercing eyes. And he comes this close to my face and he says, are you crazy? And I was like, a little bit. And he said, good, then we can work together. He turned away and went to raise the music. And that's how we started. And I find these people are influential to me because I find myself repeating some things that they have told me, not by thinking I'm going to say this. It just comes, it's somewhere in the back of the mind, and it just comes, and I'm like, wow, there you are. It's like, wisdom, what they have shared with me.
And tell us, is there a story about you dancing on the rooftops when you were younger?
Yeah, how do you know that?
Somebody mentioned
You have your sources, do you? You were not there, no?
Well, you never know.
You never know, no. Well, yeah, this is Santiago. Now we go back to Santiago, dancing with Rick. And as I told you, sometimes he just didn't show up to practices. So I waited for him to call me. Or sometimes I didn't have the money to go to the bus and go to the studio. So I lived with Wendy in La Jolla in this beautiful white apartment building. And it was the top floor, her flat. And there is a rooftop, which is flat. But there was no ladder to climb there. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is so enticing. All this roof, you see the view, you see the ocean, the sun, the palm trees. The weather is warm and it's breezy. And so I climb up to this rooftop there was a wall on both sides. Somehow I have managed to put one leg to there, one there. And because it's kind of beton, I don't know what is actually the material of the wall, but it's somehow that it creeps so that it doesn't slide. Yeah. So I managed to get up there to the roof. Then later on, I realized that there is an easier way to get to the roof from the balcony, which Marcus, Wendy's son, showed to me. There was Wendy's balcony, and from there you can easier get up to the roof. But I figured it out through using the walls. And yeah, I used to practice there. I used the Rumba walks. Oh, so big roof, so big ceiling, just go forever. Very nice. Also to connect with air and the breath and the wind and everything. Yeah, I loved it.
So Hanna, what do you feel your secret to success has been during your career?
Secret to success. I have said this, I used this already before, saying about staying true, but I think it goes to this as well. You have to stay very true to what you believe, because it's very easy to get drawn into a river of the other one's thoughts that you hear, and it just comes, and you can't stay connected with your own idea. I don't mean by not listening. Listening is important, but not to get enticed to do something because it may be easier or works quicker, but to stay true. This is the way I go. The truth, also commitment, to have the discipline and commitment to what you do, always to give everything.
And Hanna, did you have some big low point in your career that you can remember and that you overcame, like some bad low points, like all dancers have, and then you pushed through and continued? Yeah. Like you ever think of quitting or stopping?
Never quitting, never quit or stop. But yes, I had, and it was quite an enormous one. And this is injuries, and with my right hip, and those times were devastating because I'm always, I have trusted my body. I have maybe used it mercilessly, like just, you can do more and more. But I also love that. I love to get connected, how the body moves, the mind-body awareness. So it was not that I didn't enjoy it, but then suddenly to be injured in a way that the hip bone was collapsed, it means that it doesn't support anymore your leg at all, and had to be replaced. When the doctor says to you, we don't know if you're gonna walk after. You will walk with a stick or somehow like cricket, but we don't know. And I remember just saying to them, I said, I want to dance. I really, really want to dance. Do everything you can. So they did. And yeah, it was big operation, but I remember staying after the operation. First, before the operation, I was 2 months on crutches because they were looking for a solution, how to operate, what to do with it. And also I was searching for different doctors who would be best to do it and so on. But I was not able to put weight on it because it was collapsed. So then 2 months before operation, 2 months after operation on crutches, which means no weight on my right leg. So you can imagine after, when done all that, there was one leg with the normal muscle structure, one leg with bone and skin hanging like this. Not only what it looks like, how it feels, it's not yours. You have, part of pink ceramic thing in your hip. By the way, Swedish, Johnson and Johnson. Yes. So, first of all, that was one thing I thought, how I'm going to feel like to have this extra piece in my body. But most of all, why it was a low point was that I didn't know who I am anymore. I was completely like fighting to stay connected to the person I once was, which is a dancer who, like, I felt I'm dancer and then I'm Hanna. I was not, it was kind of distorted a little bit, really. So in a way, it was also good because it made me think. I have to understand how to first of all find myself, who I am. Then how to, when one has used all life dealing with a lot of emotion, with physical movement, and then you are stuck in the couch, and the first exercise for a few days is to squeeze my palm together 10 times, 3 times a day, laying on the couch. So, that like it's kind of funny right now, but when you are in that situation, you think there's fear.
Yeah.
There comes self-pity. Why it happened to me. It's very, very difficult situation to deal with. But I'm quite happy it happened. Obviously, I wish I had my own hip. Still would be maybe a little bit more better, although this works very well. Beeps sometimes in the airports.
And how long ago was that, Hanna?
The operation was done 2014. Yeah.
Wow. And everything's okay now? You've fully recovered?
Yes. I fully recovered from that. Already for a few years after that, I danced still. We danced together with Victor. Then towards, it didn't really take so much of movement as I was used to. Like my mind is saying something, body is saying like, and I like takes time before you learn to listen to your body. And so basically towards, something happened then in Las Vegas that I got injured again. The hip replacement went out of the pink hip went out of the socket. So it was hanging and I was sent into the hospital. Long story. Anyhow, already before that, I had said to Victor that, I don't think my body can take. I want to dance. There's nothing more I want to do. But my body can't dance so much like what I would like to. So we were kind of slowing down a little bit. Of course, it came as a big shock to Victor as well at that time, when then I was injured again. But he little bit was prepared already. I guess he trusted on me, that he knows that I just go for it. He know how much I want to dance. So maybe he was not so prepared. He didn't really listen to me when I said those things, that I can't go on with the same amount of dancing. But yeah, now it's good.
So, Hanna, how do you handle stress and pressure?
Did you say I breathe? Maybe your question was stressful for me. Well, no, stress. Breathing is one of the big sources what we can use for when a moment is stressful, because often, when you are nervous, like all the breathing goes up here, and all you need to really do is to let go, to calm. It calms your mind, calms your body. So that's one way to handle stress. And the other way, which is not so good, is just push through it. but I don't really recommend. I do that too.
Are you religious or spiritual?
Actually, I'm very spiritual. I do, how do you say, belong to the church? No, that's not the right way to say. You are.
Like you belong to a church. You can say that, yeah.
Yes, or religion, let's say. I don't go to the church except when I feel like I would like to see, or if I walk the streets of Rome and I pop into, but I don't really think for praying or for getting connected, you need to have a church. It's everywhere, it's in you. Spiritual, I feel a lot of energy. I feel I feel very deeply, or philosophical maybe more than spiritual. I get very deep into certain things.
What do you have a philosophy that you live your life by?
Not one, because a lot of times you would need different philosophies, or depending on which situation you are. But overall, I could say don't give up, never to give up. One very important thing, keep learning all the time, everywhere. You can learn anything everywhere from everyone.
Hanna, what is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness?
It's funny, it kind of goes around with the same things. Strength and weakness. These are probably the same.
Mm-hmm.
It is to not give up, to be persistent, to find solution, not to see that there is a problem, there is a situation that can be solved. But then again, you can turn it into weakness in a way of to go too far with it, not to understand the balance of how far to push yourself, because sometimes more is not better. Sometimes to give in a little bit, maybe to look from a little further, you get better result on what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. If Hanna Karttunen had an autobiography, a book about your life, what would you call it?
Carpe diem.
Seize the day, right? Carpe diem.
Seize the day. Yeah. Maybe. Do you know what, Jake? Now, as we are talking about these subjects, it very much starts to, build around some area. And these are the words that come to my mind now. If I would think about it more, maybe something else would come out. But right now I would say that's it. Carpe diem, or seize the day.
No problem. What age were you the happiest in your life?
Now. Absolutely. I want to search for happiness in everything I do. Not as that I have to do it to be happy, but I find what I do makes me happy, or where I am involved, or who I spend my time makes me happy. So I would say I'm happy most of the time, except when I'm not.
So just some people, Sandro saying, unfortunately he has to go, but he loves you.
I'm really sorry. I didn't have time to look at these comments here.
Nicole Cutler says, beautiful, versatile, and iconic Hanna. A lot of people.
Wow, thank you.
So Hanna, we have a question from Nikolai. He's asking, if you have to give one tip on beautiful legs for dancing, what would it be?
Feel them. You don't make a look, or like cosmetic look of feet. You feel, you use them, you go through each part of them, learn that how you can use them with different ways. It's very, very interesting way to get involved with your body, feet and legs. Love it.
So Hanna, if I walked into a studio and I saw you and heard you teaching a lesson, what would I see? What would I hear?
That would probably, not probably, it would depend on which kind of a lesson I'm giving. You know, I teach both Latin and exhibition. So now also it depends a lot on with who I'm working at the time, because all my teaching, what I really constantly also want to develop in myself, but what is important to me is to find the strength and the beauty in each couple and each dancer. And now approaching this, when and if I figure it out, this is for me very interesting, is to see, they say something, but to feel and sense what's really happening in there, and then starting to work towards that. And so it can be anything. If it's in exhibition, you probably see me rolling on the floor and being up in the air and lifting the one and touching the one, and you know, or you can see me just sitting. Sometimes I take a chair and I go away and I sit, but I'm very present there. But I like to see it. I want to see it from far away as well. So you would see, depending on where, with who I'm working with.
And what are you all about as a teacher, and what sets you apart from other teachers?
I would not even want to say what sets me apart from other teachers. I don't know this. I know what I do. Yes, I know some, when I speak to my colleagues and other teachers, I know their views but their ways. And in a way, what I think in dance is good is exactly that we have very different personalities with great amount of knowledge, educating dancers. And each and everyone has their own ways of, for example, what is their priorities or principles, or what they want to see as an end result, and so on. The list can go on. So I think this I can't answer, but what I find very important, there is in Latin dance or ballroom dance or exhibition, there is one quality that sets our dance form far different from other forms of dance and far more developed, and that's partnering. It's understanding how two people dance together, how they combine the energy, not just put energy, but how they can complement the energy what the other one gives and other one receives, but maybe actually the receiver makes the giver to give it. You know, it's so very, very interesting. And this is one part I love to work on in dancing. I can't say that I'm all about it, because everyone has different needs in their development. So obviously the teaching, I would go depending on who is with me on the lesson. But other things what I find very interesting, feet, legs and feet. And not only the beauty of it, but because when you use your legs and feet, your body will coordinate. If you understand how you transfer your weight from foot to foot, certain things in our body happens. Now, if we want to enhance this or that style, you want to go deeper or not so deep. It's about styling or what fits for different people. So in teaching, I go more towards what that person who is coming to have lessons, what would work for them. Sometimes goes like, I think it's something, but it doesn't work. And then it's beautiful to realize, if I go this way, I arrive from this angle with these words, or maybe I go away, or I go very intense. It changes.
So Hanna, do you, as a judge, do you only mark what you teach?
No, absolutely no. Obviously, in dance, we have basic fundamentals and principles that makes our dance form. Now I talk Latin, for example. It's so that you can visualize this is Latin dancing. So these principles has to be there. But it's much more than that. I like to use this technique, three-dimensional judging technique, which is quite difficult when you have a lot of couples at the same time on the floor. It's more with the instinct of that three-dimensional thing, of course, together with the knowledge experience. But when, for example, final, you can see like maybe one couple is dancing some style I wouldn't necessarily dance myself, or I wouldn't like. But in three dimensions, if I think their technical qualities, their mechanics, then you have the choreography, how they use the choreography, how they use the space, how they use the music, musicality, all this forming. And then the third one, you have your the professionalism, the look, the partnering, how you present yourself. So there are many sides what has to be judged, and I believe is our responsibility as a judge to give opinion based on more than what you just prefer. Of course, if I have, basically you have the three-dimensional, you would think two couples, and you kind of, well, they are the same. So then I would go to the style what I prefer, if all the rest is the same.
Do you have a funny story about the worst lesson or the worst day of teaching that you've had?
No.
No?
No, I can't think of worst. It's very strong word, and I can't think of bad. There is. I just
yeah.
Not about teaching. Can I tell about the competition?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this was European Championships in St. Petersburg. Yeah, we were dancing with Paul. At that time, we were really into these swiveling actions, like switching, swivel, rotation. And I had this great dress done by Chrisanne from gold metallic material. So it's not fabric, it's metal.
Mm.
It's beautiful, like a little mini thing, and quite exotic looking. I was this is nice, it feels great. And for me, it's always more how it feels than, of course, has to look good, but I have to feel good in it. Now we go, and it's the first chapter, and there we go together, and we start our New Yorkers. And I remember Paul saying to me before we walk on the floor, now swivel your swivel a lot, swivel your ass off, he said, basically. And I'm like, yes, of course. And we go in New Yorkers, and then after we have this thing, I turn and I go and I walk. I strut 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, boom, open the legs. And I felt the audience. I'm going straight at the audience in the corner, and I felt them like watching, but not watching normal. And there I'm open legs, and I start to feel like something is not right. And I look, the skirt has ripped from the front, and I'm there, my legs open with the brown underwear and the skirt hanging on the side. this is quite beginning of cha-cha, so we still have long way to go. And I'm going like, what am I going to do? I'm going to swivel, but this skirt is going to rip off completely. And I'm like, just please stay. And I turn to the pole, and you know, you dance, you don't start to say like, skirt is full. I just kept on going, and now Paul doesn't realize anything. He didn't know that the skirt, because he's not looking at my skirt. Yeah. So now dance is finished. He's turning me. I'm going like, thank you. And I'm, take me out of here. He's like, what? Out. No, let's move. Then we go. But I always had a spare dress with me, one or two. So now it was okay. I was able to change. Luckily, it was the first heat, or second, so there was heats in between. I had time to change for our next dance. So yeah, that was probably one of the worst. I remember I was so embarrassed standing there with the legs open, you know, giving it all.
I'm sure the audience loved it.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know.
Pavlina is saying you maintain such a great body shape. Do you have any special diet?
Word diet to me doesn't make sense. I feel it's restricting. You can use the word diet. It's maybe the easy access to certain way of living. So for me, I have, over the years, I have learned what works for my body. I call it like organic valuing. So I very much listen to my body, what it needs at what time. So I don't have anything that I don't eat. Funny thing was when we met with my husband and we went first time out to dinner together, and he was like, he's told me this, he thought, oh, this is a lovely girl and so on. And he was only worried that I eat only salad. And actually salad at that time was the only thing I didn't eat, because I didn't like, it didn't feel like anything. So I tend to eat what feels good for my body. Now, together with that, it's not only what you eat, it's how you train, how you rest, you know, and it's very individual to everyone. That what I would suggest is to find food, if it's talking about food, that makes you feel good. For me, what it is, it's to feel light, that you feel energy, but your body is light and it's ready and to be active. So that would be my tip for that.
Rainer from South Africa says, we had amazing lessons with Hanna, fantastic coach, very unique and a very honest person. She used to drill us endlessly on our jive. I remember those days very clearly.
Oh, thank you, Rainer, so much. Nice to see.
Hanna, what do you think is like one of the biggest challenges for today's dancers?
Biggest challenge, I'm sure everyone has very different, if you talk, but in the dance world, dance on the floor, it's, I would say that to keep believing in your own strengths or your own truth in dance, truth in your own discipline, what you practice, so that you not create your own personality, because we all have personalities all in us, but we bring out what we have unique. So not to be unique or different just for the sake of it, but to unleash the energy of all different people seeing on the floor.
What do you love about our dance business?
Everything. I love dancing. I love to dance. And now, this was when was my injuries, when they happened, and I was on the couch and I didn't know, and going through that and getting through it and understanding, I can do it, I can get there, I can be back, but I can't dance anymore the same way. So something big changed in me. When I was very young age, I felt I'm going to dance. This is the reason I exist. I only dance. I have no other reason. That's my reason to be on this planet. And it might sound very dramatic, but I thought when I'm done dancing, when I finish dancing, I die. Not that I would do something for myself, but that's it for me. I'm, conquered. That's it. I spent my life here in dance, and that's good for me. Obviously, that has changed over the years, maybe age and maybe understanding a little more, not being so, crazy at times. But then, no, that's a lot about me dancing. Then what I want to come into is the change. What was huge for me was when after the last injury, what happened in Las Vegas, I was judging in USA some competition, and I was very much in pain. It took very long time before the pain went away, and that I was normal or I could trust my leg and so on. But I knew that I can get through it. But I knew I can't dance, and it was difficult for me. But I remember this moment. It was some early morning, and pro-am section. I was judging, and there was this old man dancing, and I saw only his back, and he's kind of like this, and he's just not even doing the right step. He's just going, but he's dancing. And I just started to look at him, and slowly he started to turn. His eyes, when I saw his eyes, were sparkling. They were full of life. I later heard this man was over 90 years old. And he was dancing, and he was happy. He was living. And this is when I realized that dance for me is not me dancing. It is actually sharing experiences, being able to give or guide experiences, and then for me to enjoy it by watching. So now it's kind of changed my view on dancing.
Yeah, very interesting. And Hanna, what for you do you like the least in the dance business? Or hate is a very strong word, but what for you is the worst part about the dance business?
Difficult to answer that. I think every industry has these, what I'm going to say. I don't think it's our dance industry only, but sometimes people can get very egoistic or very, pettiness and ignorance, and not necessarily because one chooses to. Sometimes just circumstances leads into that, and that's overall that I don't like. This is, if I have to say, I really don't like this kind of, and I'm not saying I can do the same, but I think it's important to know, to understand, okay, this is now is going to wrong direction. So let me just get the rain check and understand where we are. And
sorry.
Yeah. Yes. No, that was.
Hanna, do you feel it's more difficult for the women in the dance industry?
No. I think I don't like this separation of woman-man. Everyone has their own part to give in the puzzle, let's say, how to make it work, to make it whole. And maybe some things could be more complicated, but so some things for man could be more complicated. So I couldn't say that. One thing though, what I think is difficult is that since little, if you think about it, you also think how since little we danced, we have a partner. So you have a team, you are together through good and bad, you are together, and you got each other's back. And then when not having that partner anymore, it's more difficult that way, but not because I'm a woman, but because it's quite lonely. And I really like to share thoughts, insights. I like to ask questions. What do you think about it? I like to wonder and see, what do you think if it's like this? I like the conversation. And also sometimes you need a little push from each other. You can do it. Just go. You can do it. So it's like that's more what is, I think, difficult.
Rayno's got a question. He's saying, if you came back to dancing and started from the beginning, would you choose Latin or exhibition? Which style is giving you the most satisfaction?
Many questions in the same. I am very happy how it has happened, and I think what I learned in Latin has helped me to develop in exhibition. First of all, partnering skills. Exhibition, when we started with Victor, there was no knowledge really how to connect through breath or touch, connection points, and so on. So I feel it's good what I have done through Latin to exhibition. But then I don't know if it was the other way. But right now I would say, to answer that question, I would go the same way. And what was the rest of the question?
No, it was just basically what if you had to do it over again, which one, would you choose one or the other, and which one has given you the most satisfaction?
Satisfaction, everything. I feel very, I can't put one, they are so different animals altogether. I wouldn't be able to put one over another one.
Hanna, what's your favorite?
I get more bruises from exhibition. I have more souvenirs on my body from exhibition from many places, little scars and stuff, but that's life.
What's your favorite dance?
Rumba.
And your least favorite?
Least favorite, jive, I would say.
You don't have any children, right?
No.
But if you did, would you want them to dance?
I think dancing disciplines young children very much. You learn about posture, how to be with people, how to socialize, to go further in competitive. That would be absolutely up to them. I would love them to have their mind free of choosing what they want to do.
So Hanna, well, you've had many great partners in your career, all different, and you've had many successes. But if there was someone else you could have seen yourself dancing with, who would it be? Like for you, like if you had to do maybe a show of anyone of your choice from the past, or is there someone that you could have seen yourself dancing with or being successful with?
Never when I was dancing. I never thought even anyone else, but only that partner I was dancing with. I thought they were absolutely the best, and I was very happy. I admire male dancers, and I can say that sometimes watching the competition, not so much when judging, then your mind is busy and very responsible on other issues, but just watching, there comes, and I can't even know their names, but when I see a man really guiding the woman, giving, like using and enjoying the feeling to being connected to the woman, I feel like it'd be nice to try how that feels like.
So my next question, just you talking about that, who for you has been the best lead that you've ever danced with, like the best in terms of lead and partnering? Paul?
Yeah, Paul. I have to say, I mean, it's not that, like I said earlier, I've been very fortunate. I have had good partners and good connections, but Paul, from the first moment we touched, it's something, I don't know if it's between us two or if it's just him, but I just felt really amazing. And one more, Espen. Mm-hmm. He can form a woman like unbelievable. Also with his like he's leading, he's shaping, but also even by like when he's teaching, and he used to like just put, not to touch me or to move me, like for example hip or pelvic area, he would just put his finger on some point and said just around that, not to force the movement and make me do it. He's a genius on that.
Wendy's watching. She just tuned in. Wendy Johnson.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Wendy.
We're talking about you a lot, Wendy.
Yes. Love you, Wendy.
So, Hanna, what for you does it mean to be sexy?
Oh, sexy. I find that it's in the movement. It's not that you move or don't move, but it's the way one carries themselves, and that comes together with the mind in a way of being confident, but not confident as I'm confident and just okay with who you are. And for me, that's very, very sexy in man or woman.
What is your vision of Latin American dancing in your mind? How do you see it, the way it should be Latin American?
I think it should be very much respecting the book, the technique book of Walter Laird. Of course, things develop, our bodies become more aware, or even the physiotherapy develops, so we understand more about our body. So that way it becomes probably more complicated and more, but it has to stay true to a certain form what Latin dancing is. And the technique book is the base of it. And then for me, Latin, it's about dancing together, two people partnering, feeling each other. Then what I see, if I just like picture, I see the couple, two people enjoying about moving together into the music, having beautiful, like lingering action with legs and feet.
What's something that you hate to see on the dance floor, your biggest dislike, something that gets your skin crawling, or you?
If it's not real, if it's like gimmicks and trying to impress, and the word trying to even more actually. It's I think, like I said already before, to stay very true and connected who you are is what makes me feel that they are sincerely in it.
What for you is the best part of teaching?
Communication, learning. Actually, best part, probably learning. I learn all the time on working on or couples or pro-am or lifts or Latin, doesn't matter. I learn about myself, I learn about the people, and yeah, together communication, which means how we are in the same space, sharing the same passion.
And the worst part of teaching for you?
I don't like these worst questions. Worst part of teaching. Oh, yeah, I can answer. If someone is ignorant and not like there just because they have to be there.
What are your thoughts about dancing to bad music? How do you dance to, you're at a competition, and you all pumped up for the competition and inspired, and then you get a really bad cha-cha or samba.
The whole point in competition is that there is that unknown, that we don't know what is going to be. So first of all, that we know that is unknown. We don't know which music is going to be. We don't know, well, floor you normally know about if it's slippery or not. But you don't know what's going to happen. So when you know that you don't know what music, so you are prepared already to that. And then when the music comes, you need to, of course, get the rhythm, but you should also get into feeling the emotion in your body when you move. You have a certain rhythm. There is a rhythm in everything what we do, and that rhythm can carry you through. It can't be just music, or it can't be just the look, or just the space, or just the partnering. It has more. So then I would bring in the other qualities, maybe being more connected, playful with each other, or like I said, find the enjoyment in your own movement.
Hanna, if there's one thing you could change about yourself, what would it be?
What I would change? I don't want to sound obnoxious, but I don't think I want to fully change, to develop things. Absolutely. To change something, yes, there's one habit I have, and this is like before I go out, if I iron a shirt or curl my hair, even how I make sure that I check it 2 or 3 times, it's off the wall. Yet I go out the door and I have to come back to check it. I don't know. This is probably some psychology can help me with this, but this is some habit that it really annoys me. Sometimes I get downstairs in the building and I'm like, oh no, I have to go. And I can't go if I don't go and check, even though I know it's not on the wall anymore.
Okay, so this is the last little part of the interview where it's quick fire, so you can give very brief answers, like the answer to the question. And if there's something you want to say, a story or something funny or elaborate, it's up to you. Yeah?
Okay, I'm ready.
So what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I get a kiss from my cat or from my husband. I have 2 cats and they learn to kiss on the mouth now.
Do you have a daily ritual?
When I have been home now, yes, I have coffee, I read newspaper, and feed the cats. The funny thing is that they learn to trick us now. In a way, they wake one of us up, like somewhere 6 o'clock or earlier, get one breakfast, and then the next serving is coming up. And they trick us. And we're trying to fight this thing, but it's not working. They are winning.
What's the best thing about Finland?
It's my home. Home. Not only because it's my home country, but I feel home.
What's the best thing about England?
You know what first thing came to my mind? Semli. Practice nights. There we go. There comes the dancer. Best thing about England, Semli. Yes, it's not there anymore though. But the dancing.
Best part about the USA?
I like the people. I really connect. I have very good friends there, and I feel like I have many places in USA that I find they are my home, like my new home, or studios that are home studios. I feel like I return home. I guess home is a very important thing.
What's the best part about South Africa?
Right now, I don't know. But when I was living there, I loved our life in there. I loved how we were very fully focused on our dance, but we were together. We were family. We had our home, our animals. So home again. There we go.
Hanna, when is your birthday?
11th of November.
Oh, so you're Scorpio.
I am Scorpio. Yes. What are you?
I'm a Cancer. I'm July.
Wow.
So tell me, what's the worst thing about Finland?
Cold winters. I cannot stand cold. I hate it with a passion. I can take any pain. I can take even my hip broken, but cold, I become like a baby. I hate it.
What's the worst thing about England?
Worst thing about England, when it's rainy. Yeah.
And the worst thing about the USA?
I can't think of any. Oh, when you have. No, actually, I can't think of any. I think good. I'm trying. I'm really trying.
What about in South Africa when you lived there? What was the worst part of South Africa in your opinion?
I can tell you a story about this. I was tried to be robbed in there.
Wow. Yeah.
Actually, it happened already in London before. Someone broke into my flat, and I walked in. I was going on a Japan. We were going with Paul to Japan, and my training at the gym was earlier, so I came earlier home. And as I come, I'm going up the stairs, and I see someone in my flat, this big, huge black man, and I fought him. I don't know what in my mind went through, but I was like, "What you doing?" I stopped him, and then we had a little fight. We went down all the steps, the flight of stairs, downstairs. I'm hanging on him. Then I was holding him, this guy, and putting my hands into his pockets because I had in a bag of jewelry and some money and stuff. And I already got those away from him and my laptop upstairs. But downstairs, I was like, he's put something into his pockets, maybe into his rucksack. So I'm going. Funny thing was, there was an asthma pipe. So there, but I don't know what happens. I was holding him and I'm saying, and I don't use this word, man. I said to him, "Hey man, why are you doing this? You have an asthma. You shouldn't." I'm lecturing the guy of robbing me. It's like crazy. But it's so in the moment that I had like absolutely no idea what one should do. But the same happened, not the same way, not at home, but I was cooking a soup and I needed cauliflower. So I knew, Victor said to me, never, ever, ever walk. Always take the car. But I like walking. And I thought it's only 500 meters away. It's close by. It's nothing. So the little shopping center there in Oakton. And then I walked there with a handbag and I had hardly no rand, like just to get this cauliflower. To buy for that, I went, I bought the cauliflower, I walked back, cauliflower, handbag. And then I'm walking on this, like next to the street, which is a lot of traffic. On this side, there is houses. And I'm walking on the other side, also houses. So it's not the area where there's no one. And I see this guy walking towards me. And something in my mind was like, watch it. Like, I just like, I don't know why. Normally it doesn't happen to me like this, but this one, watch it. And then as I come, and he took hold of my hand, and he had something in the pocket in the jacket, and he said, "Give me your fucking bag or I'm going to shoot you." And at that moment, even though the detective in London had told me, if someone wants to rob you, you give them everything because they can be in drugs. No, I didn't learn. I was looking at him and I thought, which way? And I just pulled my hand and no, and I ran.
Really?
I had 300 meters. I ran. I didn't even watch back. But Victor's sister's children had heard me shouting. So they were already at the gate. They are like gated things. So at the gate waiting for me. And they opened the gate and I get home. And my hand was very swollen after that. But I got out of it. So that's what I would say is the worst thing in South Africa is this crime. It can be quite bad. Yeah.
Hanna, what's your favorite travel destination?
Anywhere where it's warm, heat, good, nice weather, sun. Yes.
Have you got anything on your bucket list as a travel destination you really want to go?
I would like to go to the jungle. This, I know it sounds crazy, but we had an opportunity to attend this expedition Greenland.
Wow.
Last August. So it was an explorer from Finland. He's climbed all the mountains and, many times over. He's been in the jungle, he's been everywhere, he explores. And now he had this thing that he wanted to start to raise awareness on climate warming. And he collected this group of people, some known people in Finland. And then we had also a doctor, and we had 3 cameras. So we had moving camera and pictures. So we were 12 people. And we went to Greenland, and we stayed there in a Sermilik fjord, by the Sermilik fjord. So we had to fly to Reykjavik, from there take this little plane to Kusluk, from where we arrived, it's sand. The airport is sand. It's unbelievable. It's one little building. As we're leaving, there is the same person who is checking us in, who is working in the security control and selling the souvenirs. And I'm thinking, like, is he going to be also in the plane giving us the drinks, So why I tell you that this was such an experience, and the raising awareness on climate change and understanding, like, I love nature, but I'm not ever survived in a nature like that. No one, complete wilderness. And we were there 8 days in this near the fjord. So we had, everyone had like 2 sacks, which can weigh 20 kilos each, where you have your clothes and tent and food. So we had these little plastic bags where we have our name written and the date. And that's what we opened always in the morning. We open, what do we have for today? But we climbed the mountain, which has never been climbed before. And we named this mountain. It's called Recover. It's there now, Recover Mountain. Then we put the flag in there. Wow. Yeah. So I really got into this exploring and like tuning into the nature. This is actually one of the places where I felt happiness in a way that it was not a reason to be happy. Sitting there on the cliff, watching the icebergs are sailing in front of you. And the complete serenity, complete calmness. It just was so, I just felt this sensation of happiness from no reason. I mean, yes, beautiful place, but not really. Normally you get happy about something. So that's why jungle, that I never done, so I would like to.
So Hanna, can you say something very Finnish in a Finnish accent?
Mitä kuuluu?
What does that mean?
How are you? I say another thing. Yeah. What my grandmother said to me. She was my hero, and she said to me always, asiat menee niin kuin on mennäkseen.
What does that mean?
This is very dialect in my dialect from Oulu. But it means, it has a very strong meaning of the things, like, for example, if you are troubled with something, that the things will go as they go. This is if I translate it directly, but it basically means that don't push too much, like don't try to force, but let that flow happen. It will happen one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Can you say something very British with a British accent?
I'm bad with accents, but I try. Darling, can you help me? How do you say darling? Sweetheart.
And Hanna, what about a Russian accent? Can you say something very Russian with a Russian accent?
Nastarovia.
Good. Is there a talent that you wish that you had?
Yes, I would love to speak every language in the world.
What's your favorite band of all time?
I don't have one favorite. I tend to listen very diverse music depending on how I feel. Right now, what I've been listening is Amorphis. This is a Finnish metal band. Jose Feliciano, Jeff Beck, and Dulspons.
What's your favorite color?
I don't have one. The one thing is that I have a situation that I'm a little bit colorblind. Mm-hmm. So basically, of course I see colors, but for me, the color can be something completely different than what it's for you.
So I like driving the car, isn't it dangerous?
No, but I can see how it moves like this. And actually, I haven't driven for a long time. But no, this is I can see. I can see it on the traffic lights. It's not a problem. But when it's different shades of red, or if it's green, or if it's blue, I don't know. But I like colors.
Do you have a least favorite color?
Mostly I wear black. Sorry?
Do you have a least favorite color?
The color I wouldn't wear. No, not really. I like if you think, for example, I like colors, but most of the time I end up wearing black. And why? For example, teaching, it works. For example, if I teach exhibition and roll on the floor, so if I have a white shirt, it's very quickly not white. So it's I do it for the certain purpose.
Practical, yeah. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
How do you take it?
I take it anyhow, and cold as well. And this is the funny thing.
Yeah.
People like, how can you drink cold? I can drink cold coffee.
Iced coffee. Funny thing,
it's coffee, and usually now lately I have coffee with 1 sugar. But also the thing with coffee is that I tend to forget the cup everywhere I go. So my husband, as he comes home, he knows where I've been because he can find and collect all these cups and bring them back to the kitchen.
Hanna, who's your role model in life?
My grandmother.
What is your spirit animal?
Cat animals.
I can see that by the way you dance, for sure, no?
But I do basically, I love animals. I think you learn from them so much, the way they move, the way they are with each other, the way they laugh, the way they make you laugh. Like, I think my life is so much longer with 2 cats because they just make me laugh all the time.
If you could choose a different career, what would you choose besides dance?
I haven't thought about. When I was little, I wanted to be an astronaut. I don't think I would choose that. I would choose right now, if I were to do something, I would like to take care of people, like a nurse or something to help people in need.
What's your favorite? Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, this actually is something that I'm very into. I love working with charities. Mm-hmm. And I have done that already way before when dancing, giving time with my dance. I still do it, giving time for teaching little children or for unprivileged children, really, who don't have money. And I like to give time like that. Nice. Through dance, that is.
Very nice. What's your favorite TV show at the moment?
Love it or list it, Vancouver.
If you had to have one superpower, what would it be?
Superpower? I would love to fly.
What's the best thing about being married?
Being married, there's so much. Best thing, I don't, can I say many?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I love to have a team. I like to feel like I'm part of a team. Maybe it's also feel of belonging to something because, you have your thing together. I can trust. I can feel that if I'm in trouble, he has my back. He's there. He's gonna support and make me safe. So, and to laugh together. I mean, there's so many things though. Now I said many, but
what's the worst part about being married?
When he leaves his clothes, he's listening to this. He knows. When he leaves his clothes to my ballet bar. I have a ballet bar on the wall, and he leaves his clothes hanging on that. That's the worst part.
What is the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life?
I would say is to get through the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
This is at the moment, if I think like it was many times. It happened like I was 3 times injured on the same hip, and yeah, absolutely. But it was also something I learned from. So. Yeah. And that's the beauty, I feel, is that you have situations that comes to you that teach you something. So when, like, maybe that's also why I don't like the worst questions, because the worst sometimes becomes the good.
Yeah. Well, it's yin and yang, isn't it? It's all balanced. This is life, isn't it?
Absolutely. They are complementary parts of each other, and not one could survive. One is receiving, one is giving, but there is part of both in both.
I think there's American Indian saying, if I'm not mistaken, wolves. Everybody has the 2 wolves, the good wolf and the bad wolf. And the one that prevails is the one which you feed the most.
Wow, I love it. What way is that from?
I don't know. I can think about and where I read it, but yeah, I think it's an American Indian saying.
Yeah, I searched for it. Nice.
What's your favorite swear word?
I'm not supposed to swear, but when something goes wrong with my computer, oh man, I swear like a pirate, and I don't want to repeat it.
Do the Finnish have swear words too? Yeah.
Yes, but somehow, actually, no. Now my husband swears, so I learned probably from him few words more. But I don't like to use. I like to use like soft swear words, and they work as well. But when the computer gets not my best area, this computer, and if it starts to keep yes, exactly like that.
Hanna, if your life had a song title, what would it be?
Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
What is your best feature, in your opinion?
Best feature? That I care.
If you had to have coffee with a historical figure, who would it be?
Frida Kahlo.
If you had dinner with a celebrity in this day and age, who would you choose?
Anthony Hopkins.
What's your favorite food?
Right now, this also changes for me. I adapt a lot into different things. So right now, my favorite food is the soup, which is done from the peppers, and it has, I guess, has tomatoes. It's my husband makes it. His soups are my favorite.
Your least favorite food?
I don't eat anchovies at all. I can't stand it.
What's your favorite song?
Bésame mucho. Right now, I say this now, but probably there is more. I'm sure there is many, but sure. Right now, yeah.
What's your favorite thing that you like to cook? Well, you don't cook.
I do cook, not lately, because my husband makes so good food. So, and he likes to cook also. So I let him cook. But I used to cook when I was in South Africa. I cooked for us. We had a personal trainer in South Africa, and he used to train Navy SEALs. And he was unbelievable. He was so tough. And he gave us like, how do you know, a schedule of what to eat, how much, how many grams, and so on. So then I used to cook. And what I like is the carrot soup with coriander. And then I had coriander on the back of our house. So I could pick up the coriander from there and put fresh coriander. And actually that cauliflower was going when I got robbed or tried to be robbed. Yeah, I was doing the soup back then.
What's your favorite drink?
Favorite drink, alcohol or non-alcohol?
You choose.
Any drink. As a drink of Aperol Spritz.
What's your guilty pleasure in life?
Where do I start? Chocolate.
What do you love on pizza?
We go to have pizza, or if my husband makes pizza for us, he always asks me, what do you want? And I say something. And then I end up eating his pizza. So what should I say that things? But what I like pineapple, ananas in my pizza.
Yeah.
I like that there is some sort of sausage or meat what has a little flavor, like a bitter, how to say, like spicy.
Yeah.
And cheese.
If you had to have a cocktail in your name, what would you call the cocktail?
A cocktail on my name, I would call it Kick Up Your Heels.
And what's inside it?
There would be no whiskey, no tequila, so there would be vodka and something bitter with vodka.
Okay.
I'm not good on doing cocktails, and actually not on drinking them either. At times I do like Aperol Spritz, for example. I love it because it reminds me of summer, and it's so sparkling and it's beautiful color, looks nice in the glass and tastes good. But I don't really know what you should put in cocktails.
What's the most exciting thing you've ever done in your life?
There are so many. Most exciting thing, I think all the things what happens at the time, they are the most exciting things. Like let's say now the Greenland, when I said to climb that mountain. And what happened was that we did it the first day we tried to climb, we didn't make it. We were about 30 meters from the top. It was too dangerous. We couldn't go. Our leader, he said he could have probably gone, but we are not experts on that. So he said, no, we're not going. So then, you know what we did? We sat down and we made a little dance. I made them dance. We danced on the top of this, or as far top as we got. But so then when we got to go to that second try, and we actually made it, that feeling to be on top there, and we took hold of hands of each other, and we walked so that we touched the top at the same time, because I think it's kind of manners of explorers that not one just runs, I was there first, but that we all go, and to get there, it was so amazing. I had my Latin heels there with me on the top of the mountain because I wanted to do a Rumba walk up there, and I did it. It was a little bit wobbly, the ground, but I did it. It was important.
Awesome. Sounds amazing. What do you do to decompress or unwind?
I like to read. I'm very bad in just relaxing, doing nothing. So I like to read.
Jogging or swimming?
Both. If I have to choose, jogging. But I'm not allowed too much because of the hip. So my doctors are saying that I shouldn't do it so much. So swimming then.
Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Yoga or Pilates?
Yoga.
Coffee or wine?
Huh?
Coffee or wine?
Depends of the time of the day. First is the coffee and then is the wine.
Red or white wine?
White wine, although I like the red, but sometimes it gives me migraines. So, you know,
Depends how much you drink. No.
That too. But actually, I figured out that there's Shiraz, red wine, that gives me the migraines.
Yeah, it's got strong tannins in it.
Absolutely. And like if I drink Pinot Noir, it's okay sometimes, but white wine is, and especially in the summertime.
Yes. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Diamonds or pearls?
Diamonds.
Heels or flats?
Heels.
The straw, go on.
With this, I find I walk and have a better posture when I have heels on, and I love the feeling of heels. But if I can choose, I would put point shoes even on top of the heels, because when you put point shoe on, you elevate your body and you feel so light and so well, like in posture. So point shoes if I can choose.
Strong lip or strong eye?
Eye.
Teaching or judging?
Teaching.
What is one thing you cannot live without?
I think we can live without. I think we can live without many, many things. But having a companion, but you could still live without that too. But I wouldn't be that happy.
Okay, that's fair enough. Have you ever been arrested or put in jail?
No.
Not
I
yet.
wouldn't tell you. But no, I haven't. I was almost once, because on some border going through from Canada to Japan, I think it was. So there, they took me and they were like, why you have this much money? Well, I had the money, it was my money. And so, but it was not over any limit or anything, nothing was done wrong. But they kind of wanted to scare me. I think they got me. They got me scared. I was like to cry.
Hanna, do you have any dreams you still wish to accomplish?
I really like to get involved with the charity work more. Of course, in a limit, I have not possible with financially to just to do charity, but I really would like to involve that in what I do in dance.
Hanna, what's the most dangerous thing that you've ever done?
Most dangerous thing. Staying. A few things. One is that at the time I didn't know this was dangerous, but we were in Santa Lucia for holiday when we lived in South Africa, and we went for a run together with Victor, and I'm afraid of snakes. So I said to him, "You're sure there is no snakes in here?" No, there is not, like, no, not here. So there we are running. We run a little bit not on the hard, road, but a little bit on the side of the road. So there's trees on top of us, and we run, and we're all happy and come back to London. And when we started to watch, we watched a lot National Geographic, and there was this program about the 10 most dangerous snakes. And there we go, and it's number 2. I forgot the name of this snake.
Green mamba or the black mamba? the puff adder, the
That one.
puff adder.
Yes. Anyhow, it's the second dangerous snake. And there we are, and we are watching it, and where is it? Santa Lucia. And they are on the trees normally, and they can jump from the trees.
The boomslang, this one.
Maybe. Sorry, I forgot the name. And then I'm looking at Victor, I'm like, and he's like, he knew, I'm sure he knew. He just wanted to go for a run.
Hanna, have you ever had a near-death experience?
No.
What's your biggest fear in life?
Biggest fear? I don't feel that I live in fear. I don't think I'm afraid of something except like snakes, which is like, you just don't like snakes, basically, not afraid in such. But one thing what would be awful is to be abandoned, that you would be like completely without no one.
What's the best advice that you ever received?
To be honest to yourself.
And you maybe touched on this before, so maybe you think something different, but what's the biggest learning curve or learning experience you ever had in your life?
How do you mean learning curve?
Well, just some experience or something like has been your biggest lesson in life. You mentioned a little bit before about the injury, so I thought you might have said that, but I don't know, whatever you want to say.
Absolutely. I mean, that was such a deep moment that affected me in everything what I am. That it's absolutely the most important. Like I said earlier, that when you have situation that is bad, at that moment you feel bad, or is not maybe planned, or often of course it's not planned. It is so that those are the moments that you learn the most.
Hanna, what is your biggest inspiration in life? What inspires you the most?
Dance inspires me. Dance in its all elements.
If you had a bottle there and you rubbed the bottle and the genie came out and it gave you 3 wishes today, right now, what would you choose?
3 wishes. I would like to have some actually, talking about it, I'm going to put some light on, because now when I look at the screen, it's very dark. Just a moment.
Does anybody have any more questions before we leave? I've got 2 or 3 more questions and then we are done. It's been a long one, but a great one. So yeah, 3 wishes.
See,
yeah.
So when you ask for it, you can receive, right?
There we go. Wish number 1. Number 2, $1 million.
Wish
and
number
it's
1,
coming
sun
down.
is out there. Now, wish number 2, let's get out of this isolation and dance. Wish number 3 is to stay healthy.
If you had to give yourself some advice, you're 15 years old, you can go back in time and you can tell Hanna at 15 a piece of advice, or you could say something to yourself, what would you say?
Trust your instincts, because that is, I have done it. I have very strong intuition, and I listen to it. Sometimes actually it's scary how strong the intuition and instinct can be. But there are times that I doubt that instinct. And maybe that's for a reason. Maybe you have to value those moments. You have to understand if it is really good to follow that instinct. You have to, understand it more. So maybe it's good as well. But yeah, that I would say trust that. And also I would say another thing. I would say don't be so hard on yourself, because I tend to be.
So on the other hand, you go into the future, 30 years time. What do you say to your future self? So right now, I can transport you to the future. What do you say to your older self?
So I'm here and I'm talking to my older self.
Yes.
Watch out what's coming.
Okay, and then, so Hanna, how are you feeling these days, really?
I'm feeling very, very good. And I'm actually feeling a little bit of somehow, is it okay to feel so happy on, in this situation? Of course, I'm worried also for my mom and dad that they stay safe and healthy. And so there's a lot of worries on this, but I'm really happy. I have enjoyed this time to stay at home. I have really, truly enjoyed. I learned a lot during this time. So yeah, I'm very, very good, honestly.
So, okay, the very last thing, because I've kept a lot of your time and I'm very thankful for you taking the time to talk to me.
No, I really enjoyed it. And you make me actually sweat, I have to say.
So we're just going to play a little game where I'm going to say somebody's name and I just want you to give me one word on how you feel about it, the first thing that comes to you, whatever that might be. And I normally have that on another piece of paper, which is not next to me at the moment. So if I forget, let me just check if I've got it. If I forget any names, forgive me, but we'll try. Okay, so Rick Venezuela.
Latino.
Sandro Cavallini.
Wild.
Ger Bakker.
Strong.
Paul Killick.
That I have to think comes many, goes like this. Strength, I said, but this strength, I mean like mental, like leadership.
Slavic.
Floaty.
Victor.
Power. Now I don't mean power of body, but power in the soul as well.
Espen.
Master.
Wendy Johnson.
My dear friend.
Alan Tonsberg.
Creative.
Vibeke.
Beautiful.
Brian Watson.
Rhythmical. Now I see. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
I see that I'm going into the dance. Like I'm trying to keep.
No, it could be anything you want. It doesn't matter. Carmen.
Strong.
Donnie.
Powerful, but no. Okay, word powerful. I mean powerful as also a little bit of leadership, and not always in a good or bad way, but yeah, powerful man.
Gaynor.
Alien. In a most utmost respective way, alien.
Lorraine.
And something that I want to get into.
And Hanna Karttunen.
Happy.
So
you have such a good questions. This is like so interesting.
The very last one I want to ask you, I actually forgot about it and I didn't write it down, but it's something that I think about actually, like when I was thinking about talking to you, is you come from Oulu, a very small town, like you say, close to the Arctic Circle, quite random, but so successful. And I know there's a lot of other successful Finnish dancers. So for such a small country, you know what I mean, and kind of random and cold, and you wouldn't say it's a Latin American culture, right? It's not Latino, but they've produced great dancers. So and then even Vesa, who had some success as competitor and now is one of the authorities on fashion in the dance world. What is your opinion on that? Why?
During those times, there was a very, very wonderful school of dance which is Asko and Salme Raukovaara, they formed the club, the dance club. They gave their time and passion for the dancers. They basically probably lived, they also worked other work, but the rest of the time they lived at the studio. They made sure that we had Adrian Pritchett, we had Margaret Redmond, Mick Stylianos, we had Monica Needham coming to Oulu. Now, you have to understand, those times the airport was one hall. There was no this round thing where the luggage comes. The luggage from the plane came in a truck. It's been put into the truck drove into the hall, and there we all go and you pick up your own luggage from the truck. And they flew to this city, this remote city. And I know one of the reasons was because how great work Salme and Asko did for the dancers and what they did for the club and the whole culture of the dancing at that time. And those times there was like this, of course, I remember walking up the stairs, Toppilan Sali. And I remember the smell, how the floor upstairs, it smells from downstairs. You walk up and you know there is the dance room. And I remember going there as a little girl and looking at the big, like the fantastic dancers. They're like stars. I look at them and I think one day I also can. And I look at their shoes. Wow, they have such a cool heels. And you know, you as a little girl, you recognize all this. And then when came like Adrian Pritchett came to teach us. So if we are in the group lesson and we all there, you know, neck straight and ready for, and nervous also, you know, a little bit nervous because it's English also. And then he's from England, and you know, it's wow. And we look, and then when he would show in the group lesson something, and he would ask the girl to come and partner. If you were chosen to be the partner for a moment with Adrian, it was amazing. So I think it's a very much about the culture, what Salme and Asko started and what they continued throughout their lives until Salme just passed away, actually just very end of last year. And you know, one thing is that I went to the funeral, and the beauty is that you could see there were little dancers, little young dancers in this service, to the oldies, me, and then even older than me. So, you know, the whole, they kept through their life. So this is one very, very big thing. And of course, also for us to look at the bigger dancers and to see they go to Blackpool to compete, or they go to, you know, so that's somehow like you get into this atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, that's all that I wanted to ask. So
wow.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's super interesting. I mean, I think we could talk for another 2.5 hours or 3 hours, whatever we've been talking for. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you and hear all your opinions and thoughts and whatnot. I think it's super special.
Thank you, Jake. Really, I want to say to you, thank you so much for doing this. Really, like now, like I said to you earlier when we were catching up, that I heard like pieces of some interviews you have done, but I didn't really want to hear it all because I wanted to be able to answer fresh to your questions. But now I'm going to go and listen to the other because I think this is so wonderful. It's really, truly outstanding, great thing what you do. And I'm sure there is so many interesting people and stories and who we can share.
Absolutely.
About our...
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's very nice coming from someone like you who, like I said, from little old South Africa in 98, looking at the video and watching and thinking, wow, you know, so obviously to actually talk to you and get to know you on that level is very special on a personal note, you know.
Actually, that's one good thing about dance, isn't it? It's so unexpected how we can maybe have met somewhere or briefly met or go through, and then suddenly we connect. And this is a very one big deal about our dance world as well. How many possibilities there are.
Yeah, Jason says he's a friend of mine. You probably know him. He knows Victor well, South African in London.
And I know Jason.
I remember Hanna always smiling at Semli, always very humble and kind, but moved like a punching cat on the dance floor.
Oh, that's so nice. But there you go about the smile, right?
Yes.
I just like to smile.
Yes. At least it's not a fat cat, huh? But anyway, yeah, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was very interesting to me, and I'm sure it's a lot of others. This will post on my my profile and yours probably too. So I tagged you. So yeah, so it's all good. So anybody that missed the beginning, because it is quite a long one, but I think it means it's good that it's long, because it means that it's juicy and interesting and not just, you know, like, what was your favorite competition, Hanna?
How long have we spoken?
Almost 3 hours.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there is a lot then.
There is. Yeah. And we have to continue the next part 2 some other time.
Oh my God, there is, yes. And, so thank you, Jason, so much. Keep doing this. I really, really love it. And I know I'm not the only one who appreciates it.
Thank you. Well, everybody's going to be excited for the weekend, because we have the big names. Michael and Lorna.
Wow.
But they're going to do it separately, because Mick says that Lorna talks too much. So he wants to have his say and she'll have hers. So he will be Michael Stylianos on Saturday and Lorna Lee will be on Sunday.
This is wonderful. I'm going to listen to it.
Yes, so I'm sure they have lots of amazing stories. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, because they've taught everybody.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thanks.
Oh, wow. This is going to be great.
Appreciate it, eh?
Yes, thank you so much.
No worries. Stay safe, and I hope it warms up soon in Finland.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.